another edition of BCSN Sports Flash. We are here at Springfield High School prior to the District All-Star Game, but also a very big event at the collegiate level coming up as the Lourdes University Grey Wolves women's volleyball team will be entering national tournament competition, and really a special thing, the only team in the entire nation in NAIA with an undefeated record. And we're with Greg Reitz, their head coach, coming into this, and that is quite accolade for a team to be able to say the only undefeated squad in the nation.
We're pretty proud of that accomplishment, but it was kind of a goal every step of the way, to one match at a time, and fortunately this group was able to focus on just that, and you get to 31 matches and still have a 0 next to them.
Yeah. But the interesting thing is, we covered one of your matches 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I think at that time maybe you were one of a couple of teams that were undefeated, and you were ranked 17th, and now you finished the season as the only undefeated team, and you're still ranked 17th. Something doesn't compute here as far as I can tell. What do you think?
I'm not really sure the mathematical equation on how they figure that, but apparently our strength of schedule wasn't good enough to move up, so our only way now is to win in the national tournament.
What is your assessment of just the balance of strength in NAIA volleyball? Is the Midwest competitive with other areas in the country as far as the competition you face?
It's actually pretty diverse across the country, from the West Coast all the way to the East. It seems like the level of play for the top 25 teams, even a little beyond, is pretty strong, and that's kind of relating it to my experience in Division I, so some of the smaller mid-major schools, I'd say a lot of these teams can compete with those. Division II is kind of similar. It's the top teams are pretty competitive. They're not going to compete with the top 25 in Division I, but I think a lot of these teams could hold their own against quite a few teams.
Right. You were assistant at University of Toledo, in fact, before heading over to Lourdes. I think whether you know the teams or not, or whatever the perceived strength of schedule is, a look at your roster would give a pretty good indication that this is a team that compete with just about anybody. You've got 3 excellent Division I, former Division I players, including a MAC Freshman of the Year on your squad. How can anyone not think that that's going to be a powerhouse at NAIA volleyball?
I don't know if everyone's doing their homework or something. I'm not quite sure, but we're very happy with the roster that we have. When we practice, we compete hard and go across the net, both with our starting lineup and against, and mix them up, and it's just a blast. So the whole roster, I'm happy from head to toe.
Talk about some of the players. Obviously, some of these Division I players that we talked about. Also, you've got some good local talent on the squad. Just kind of give us a sketch of your squad.
Well, we ended up with 5 first-team all-WAC players. We had the Player of the Year in Stephanie Ruffing, who is a transfer from Wright State / Columbus State. Molly Schonk ended up getting Newcomer of the Year in first team, and she played at Georgia State for the last couple years. Ave was a first-team member. Megan Burr was a setter from Muskegon Community College and came in and got Setter of the Year. Michi Jimenez is our senior, who's kind of running the show on the defense and got Libero of the Year. We had a couple honorable mentions in Stephanie Richards and Stephanie Compt, who are 2 of our local players and are playing extremely well, and I think could have been first teamers. Just I don't think everyone wanted to give us all the votes, but we'll take the accolades. But more importantly, we're looking for the team award at the end, and that's that national title. So if we can get as close to that or win that, that's what we're shooting for.
Talk about, for example, that I mentioned, you got a former MAC Freshman of the Year player. How did you do that?
Actually, her brother started playing for me on the men's team before. She was, I guess, a sophomore at Western Michigan when Austin, her brother, started playing for me. So it just worked out where Western wasn't the right fit anymore for her, and she wanted to do nursing, which our school is very strong in nursing, and it fit where academically and athletically things matched. And so it just worked out, and this is a chance for her to continue competing at a high level, and she's done a wonderful job for us.
No question. I think another key to your team is you have a deep roster, and maybe not all of the players get a lot of court time, but they're still important members of the team because you have some real gung-ho practices where everybody's working hard and playing hard, and that helps your top players get better.
Oh, that's exactly what our game plan has been from the start, is to have the most competitive practice situation on a day in, day out basis, so that when you get to a match, it's just another day of practice, another competitive drill. You just happen to have a jersey on that day.
Mm-hmm. How are the players maybe that are filling that role, how have they accepted that role as basically sharpening up the players that get most of the court time by just making them work hard in a practice situation?
I mean, you never know for sure. I'm not inside their heads, but the way they respond, the way we're working as a team, the way our practices look on a day in, day out basis, I'm saying they're doing pretty well with it, because we're staying at a high level, and we have been since August. So, yeah, kudos to everyone on the roster because we're all working towards that same team goal.
Well, if everything's working, I guess that's all that matters. Now, what realistically do you think are your chances of going a long way in the national tournament?
I'd like to say we have a very good chance at winning it. We've seen some film on some of the top teams in the country, and I think our diversity in offense and our soundness in serve, receive, and defense should allow us to have at least a chance of competing for it.
Yeah, well, I would say you've got more than a chance of doing that. Pretty exciting given the fact that it was just a few years ago that the Lords program began, and you started that program from the ground floor. They've come a long way since then.
Yeah, it was 6 years ago. This is our 6th season of competition and 7th season of actually being there and recruiting to it. So, yeah, we've kind of come a long way. A couple years ago, we made it to the national tournament with a couple big wins late in the season. This year, we've kind of dominated throughout the season and a little bit different game plan, but very happy, and we're where we want to be, and we're trying to recruit to the success that we're having this year so that we can continue it.
Seems like just yesterday the program was starting. A lot of time has gone by since then. It's just flown. Well, congratulations for an outstanding season. Best of luck in the national tournament and continued success. I'm sure this kind of success will help build a foundation for the future, too.
I appreciate it very much.
Yeah. Greg Reitz, the head coach, women's volleyball coach, and men's coach, I might say, at Lords University. Greg, thank you for BCSN Sports Flash.